Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast. This week I'm speaking to director William Kaufman. Will's got a bunch of directing credits to his name, mostly action, so I'm looking forward to digging into those movies and also finding out about his career and how he got started. Hi, Will. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, man.
So, talk to me about how you got your first break. How did you start directing feature films?
Many moons ago, an actor Holt Boggs and I, we were both trying to get into the business and we couldn't move forward. So we basically decided we were going to create a vehicle for ourselves. And so we wrote this movie called The Prodigy, which was kind of this 7-ish action movie. Gangsters instead of cops, because obviously we couldn't afford squad cars and police uniforms. But and so we got a little bit of money, and it was shot on film back then. And we were this is like at the beginning of the red camera phase, and it was still shooting film was still super important to get distribution, to kind of separate yourselves. So we shot for 2 weekends. We shot a fake trailer, and we brought the cast in and we just shot little segments of the trailer, like a sizzle reel. And then we shopped that for about a year and a half, and we stumbled across an investor, executive producer Ken Dundon, who came in and saved the day and gave us a lot of money to us, but to shoot a film at that time on film the budget was $114,000.
Right. Okay. Are we talking 35 or 16 mil? What were you on?
Super 16. Yeah.
Super 16. So, yeah.
And so all of our money went into gear rental and film stock and transfer and developing, and we all worked for pennies. I think it was like $100 a week or something like that. And that was our break. And that movie got a little cult following. It did really well in the festival circuit, on the Genre Fest. And then it got an international release, and it for a little movie, it did quite well. And that got me my next film.
Right. So then let's dig into a few things there. And maybe this is a skill you've developed as a result of that. But those initial trying to get money for a year and a half, and that can be a slog. What do you think sealed the deal with the people you finally got to finance the movie?
I think there's a couple things. We had to find, there was a lot of chance. We talked to everyone we knew about who might, and we went down a lot of rabbit holes that went nowhere and wasted a great deal of time. But there was kind of a chance. There was someone who loved movies. There was a friend of a friend's, and I got a call saying, "Hey, Ken's going to be at the Tyson fight. Bring your trailer." So I had a little VHS tape, and we during some intermission or something, we put it in, and the crowd reacted, or the other people at watching the fight reacted well, and he was a huge film fan, and so there's a lot of chance there. But I would say one thing that helped us is we really developed relationships and surrounded ourselves with people that didn't, when you surround yourself only with other actors and only other directors, what we do, I've said this a million times, what we do is we're not novelists, we're not painters. It requires a team to make it happen. And so we found people that loved doing, let's say, a particular job on a film set, and they wanted their chance to step up into that first chair. And so those are the people that it was worthwhile to make no money to do this project. And by us showing our proof of concept film, they were able to see that, it might turn out really good. As far as the process to literally chase down money, I don't have that. I connected with equity guys. I connected with people that were brokers, sales guys, and lots of people who thought they could do things. And it's a hard thing to prove that it's a smart investment. You need someone who beyond just wanting a return needs an emotional investment in making movies.
So that's investors. You're kind of like from what I can see from your IMDb, you're a bit of a jobbing director now, mostly action. Are you still convincing people that they should make your, because a lot of them you write as well. Are you still trying to convince people to make those movies, or have you got something in place where you're kind of always working with the same people and they know
work a
you're the
lot
guy
with
to go
the
to?
same people. I'm sorry. I am working a lot with the same people now, and
Yeah.
the previous experiences have been financially rewarding to them, so there's
Hmm.
less struggle to that. I'm a genre guy. That's the little boy that wanted to be a filmmaker. That was what I want. If I would compare it to, where a lot of my film school mates wanted to be Hemingway,
Mm.
I wanted to be Frank Miller. You know,
Right.
so we had different avenues. Where they loved Scorsese and Coppola. I do too, but they weren't
Mm.
why the little boy wanted to be a filmmaker. That was Cameron, that was John Carpenter, and Spielberg, and those guys. So it was just a different track. And I think that was the thing, is it's much easier to do genre material than because honestly, a bad action movie can still have a market.
Yeah.
Um,
I've
and
watched a few, and I'll continue to watch them because
yeah,
you can get enjoyment out of that.
yeah, right. So, but I think now I started as an independent director. I did a couple films. Then I kind of went in what I call the meat grinder of the lower end studio projects, or what I call sequels for sequels that shouldn't be sequels. Um, and that kind of took the breath out of me, and I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. It was financially a great thing, but I personally felt like I was shitting on my little boy's dream, and
Hmm.
so that wasn't the avenue I wanted to go. And so I've gone down this kind of, I call it the second chapter, since doing, especially since things change after the channel,
Mm.
and so I've gotten a lot of I've got a producer team around me that are the best. I've got an EP and a creative partner that is the best. So that's been a true blessing. So
Yeah. And you mentioned going through that grinder. So as a new director, how much do you think people need to know about the business side of things?
I think you have to, it depends on what you want to do. I think if you're going to do something that's going to require a lot of money, you have to understand that this is show business, right? It requires a return. It's such an expensive investment. It requires a return. So you can go do your passion project. But if it doesn't get a return, you're going to make it, it's going to be much more challenging to get to repeat that.
Mhm.
So I think I, I know enough about the business to make less stupid mistakes than I did when I started. And
Yeah,
I also, again, now surrounding myself with guys who are super smart at that side of it. And so
yeah,
I'm still trying to learn, but I have a lot of faith and trust in them as well.
yeah. I'd echo that, and I'd say what you've hit on there is part of knowing about the business is, like you say, choosing the right project to put your energy into that's going to make some money,
Right.
and yeah, surrounding yourself with all those people who have the same vision and the same goals in mind. Um, so then, uh, with that in mind, so building that team of people around you, if you're a straight out of film school director, how would you advise they find that uh, team, that kind of tribe that they're going to work with forever?
I think we're at a time where people now can make movies that we couldn't make, you know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So it's like the ability to, with an iPhone and DaVinci Resolve free version, and a Zoom recorder, you can do a lot with a, you can do it you can jump into it at a much lower price point.
Hmm.
I think my thing would be is to find, get involved in your local film community and find out who are the people making things happen. For me, it was a guy named King Hollis out of Dallas who kind of took me under his wing, and we ended up working on that film together, but primarily he kind of um, big brothered the process. He
Hmm.
helped make relationship connections for me, and I think developing those relationships are really important. Um, and just trying to find people as you in your community, if you find people, you go watch your local shorts and competition festivals, and you get a sense of um, who's working a lot, who are people talking about, and then approaching them in a position that benefits them. So if that
Yeah.
collaboration is something that can benefit them, then it makes sense. And I'm not I'm not trying to point all artists to go do genre movies.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, what I would suggest is, like, I think a lot of people would say Sixth Sense is a pretty great drama. It's
Mm.
hidden in a genre film, so it makes it more marketable if you don't have big stars, because it has this genre hook to it. And that's what I would say is, like, if you're going to be developing projects and you don't want to do, you know, uh, gun battles in the streets like, I've done, that I would suggest trying to find a way to figure out what you want to do, and then see, is there a hook or an angle that you could make it something that would um, be more genre, that could be, it's just easier, it's just easier proof of concept to get people involved investing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely agree with that. And it is difficult because I know a lot of people's dreams are to do a drama, but I do find myself sometimes on set when you're making a film and you are doing a scene that's got a lot of dialogue. It's easy. Not, I don't get bored because obviously all scenes are important,
right,
but you do look forward to those big action sequences, and you do look forward to. Do you know what I mean? With me, it's horror. It's getting the blood out, and all
right.
the gore and the effects and all that stuff. So then, uh, when you're directing those big action sequences, how do you balance spectacle with story? How do you make sure that you're not getting carried away and you're just throwing a load of guns and explosions in it for no reason at all?
I think, kind of like what you would say about horror, I think it's about investing in the characters, getting that the characters have to be grounded enough to believe that they're actually afraid of what they're running away from, or
Mm.
afraid, if the stakes aren't there, if the performances aren't elevating the stakes, then you're right, it's just a stunt show. So to me, what I hope to do, what I've been working towards, is um, working with actors that elevate that kind of material, you know,
Yeah.
and
And then actors, talking about actors, so for first time directors in any genre, what's your advice for working with actors?
I got a piece of advice, which was great advice given to me by Cole Hauser. I did this movie, and we had a challenging day. And one thing he told me working with actors, and not all producers and ads would agree with this, but I've stuck with it, and it's worked well for me, which is, when you're working with actors, um, clear the room. It's just you and them. Go through, figure out your blocking together. Don't lock them into being movable props. Let them breathe. Let them, and then you can get into debate and argument without an audience. So there's no ego there. It's just, hopefully, just rational. And I think that was a very smart advice that I got. That when I didn't do it that way, it didn't work out well for me. So I think actors want to know that you're prepared, that you know the material, and that you care. So they want to know that you have some sort of vision, that you care deeply about the material, and that you understand the material. The last thing they want to hear is, okay, so yeah, I want you to go over to that closet and open that door, look in it, and then close it. And they say, why? And you say, well, the script says that. Or
Mm.
yeah, don't be startled. Why aren't I in a dangerous situation? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you've got to make sure you have the answers when the questions come.
So we're talking about actors. So you've done these big action sequences. You're directing your actors. What's the hardest scene you've ever directed? Is it a big action one, or is it a intense dialogue sequence? Do you think?
I really enjoy the dialogue, the dramatic scenes. Those
Mm.
are great. I mean, I just did this film, Osiris. It's out right now, and we had to do in 2 days about a 12-minute opening of the movie, which was all action. So that was just super challenging because we had so many elements and the time constraints were so tight. And I still want to cover it like a real movie. And so, we just ran all night long and just really, really pushed hard. Luckily, my actors were really paired and on my side, so that made it much easier.
Mm. Yeah. And I was looking at that one actually. I watched the trailer for that earlier. It looks good, Osiris. And what I noticed about that, so there's two questions about that. One is it looks like it's, unless I'm wrong, is it your first sort of move into that kind of monster movie, alien sci-fi zone? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
the first time I've gone into the sci-fi aspect. I did a
yeah.
movie called Daylight's End, which was kind of more of like a 28 Days Later apocalyptic
Mm,
thing.
mm.
That's as close to that out there in genre I've done.
Yeah. So this one's got a monster in it,
Yeah,
judging by the trailer.
yeah.
What is that like, and how different an experience is it having to work with, prosthetics or a big monster type thing?
Right. I mean, it was actually really cool. I had some of the best people in the business, Master Effects, Todd Masters, who's kind of a horror legend. He's done everything. And he created the aliens and created the animatronic heads. And he was the lead puppeteer working the animatronics. So it was an unusual experience where I'm directing the performer, let's say the lead creature, which is the performance, stunt performer, fantastic actor Stanley White, who was doing the scars, the lead monster. But so he's physically embodying all this, and Todd at the same time is working the animatronics, and so he's supporting what the actor and elevating what the performer's doing at the same time. So that was kind of a unique experience that I hadn't done before, because you're basically
Yeah.
directing two people at the same time.
Yeah, that must be difficult. And the other thing I noticed about that project is you had Linda Hamilton in it, which,
Right.
if you're saying you're a James Cameron fan, that must have been a dream come true.
I mean, yeah,
So,
my daughter's name is Sarah. So
oh
I
really?
was
Oh right, there you go.
I was a
So
crazy.
yeah, so did you? How much control do you have over things like that? Is that like, oh, we should try Linda Hamilton, or do the producers come to you and go, oh, we can get Linda Hamilton?
Well, no, actually, we had another actor, really brilliant actor in that role, and then there were some health issues, and he had to drop out, and we were
Hmm.
already into production, and I suggest Linda. I live in New Orleans. Linda lives in New Orleans, and I had suggested we reach out to her, and XYZ, our distributor, and our producing team thought we loved that idea, and they gave us the go ahead, and thankfully Linda said yes, and you know we got together and we talked out the script, and everything went great. So
And did you get to ask any Terminator style questions?
I didn't. I didn't ask her. I didn't.
Is that
It's
and
not,
is that is
yeah.
that a time thing? Didn't have the time, or I don't want to affect this kind of
It's.
professional version of myself?
I think it's a bit of both. It's very
Mm.
hard for an actor. Time wise, was definitely a pressure, but I think
Yeah,
it's also as a director, it, it's an uncomfortable thing for an actor to know you're a fan of them.
yeah,
Not that you love their work and want to work with them, but you literally had her poster on the wall when you were 13.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's So yes, I hid that the very best I could. So
Maybe that was a good idea.
I think so.
Um, so then, what would you, if you were starting out right now, if you're coming out of film school right now, what would you do? How would you kick your career off?
I would look at I would create a script. I would shoot on an iPhone 16 in 4K. I would
Hmm.
get the lenses, the add-on lenses. Um, I would buy a Zoom recorder, and I would download Resolve, and I would go create the same thing. I would do a concept teaser first, and then I would connect with. I tried to find the very best actors I could and the best cinematographer, the people that wanted to elevate up. And like my cinematographer on The Prodigy was a still photographer. He'd never shot film. The first thing he ever shot moving pictures, Mark Rutledge, the first thing he ever shot was our fake trailer. You know, everything else is a still photographer, but it's all lighting and composition and everything. And it wasn't much of a stretch for him. And it was a huge advantage. I mean, for him, it was an opportunity. And so I think that I would build that concept, and I would try to tease people with our ability as a team to pull something off. And then I would, if I couldn't find that money, because I think you could do, I mean, I did a film. I can't speak to the actual number, but I did a film for a very, very low budget. This kind of plan with DSLRs and iPhones, and it did remarkably well. And no one ever knew that we shot it on film. I mean, that we shot it on iPhones and DSLR.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good advice. I think I would do the same. Would you stick with action, or would you you'd stay in genre? Would you?
Yeah, I would go I would go action or horror. So I would look at what my, I try to again take the Dove Simmons, the Tarantino model of an anchor location, a really amazing, already production design location. For me, that usually means disgusting and old, and that I knew I could control and own for the time of production, and I would make 80% of that story take place there.
Yeah, sensible advice. That the location can be absolutely critical when you're first starting out working on a micro budget, because there's nothing worse than being told, "Oh, we need you to leave at 5,"
Right.
and you've got no time, or "Oh, you can't move that cabinet," or "You can't do this, you can't do that." And like you say, if it's something derelict, then you can just destroy it.
Or we've changed our minds. We don't.
Yeah. That would be my worst nightmare. So last question I was going to ask you, which I ask all of my guests, is: have you got a motto? Have you got like a mantra or anything you kind of apply to filmmaking or life in general?
Pushing forward. To keep grinding, to keep no one's coming to rescue you. Got to rescue yourself. Keep pushing forward.
I hope that was useful. If you're interested in being a director and working in the industry, then I'd point you to my episode, How to Turn Your Micro Budget Film into a Directing Career, with Josh Caldwell. Loads of interesting and effective advice in that episode, so do check it out. See you on the next one.